this is one of those games that I play when there's nothing else to play, and I don't even I don't even do a race or try to score well or anything. I just drive through these maps and relax. But anyway, it appears that there is this like a contraction and release, or contraction and opening appearing to go on. And when the contraction is on, the words can still talk in a non-dual way, and the non-dual concepts are used, but they're not necessarily coming, because they're not coming from the emptiness, even though everything is emptiness. But there's that subtle sense of separation and heaviness. And then it appears that there is this felt energy that makes everything light. It's felt as being light instead of heavy, and also fresh. And at the same time, everything vanishes, apparently anyway. So it has to do with an energy also, what the so-called non-dual concepts describe. And it's not about holding on to some non-dual concepts and try to talk to others about non-duality. That's false. That's duality still. That's fake. But when that energy appears to come, or appears to appear, at the same time, the sense that there is a world out there, and that there are other people, other real, actual, separate people out there, that sense also vanishes totally. And everything just appears to become, or everything appears to be revealed as what it actually is, which is just this and nothing else. Just this apparently morphing emptiness. And there's no problem. It's not nihilistic, because there's no suffering in it. There's no suffering in this. And this is felt, I don't know by what, but it's felt in the body, as in the apparent body. It's felt as freshness and lightness, at the moment anyways, and ease. Like it feels like some sense of burden has lifted. That wasn't necessarily like totally noticed, although it was fully noticed when it was on. The sense of burden, heavy burden. And yeah, there had been some worrying about the situation of other people, worrying about others suffering, and worrying about how certain other people are doing. And then trying to, like this was before, when the contraction was present and the sense of separation was subtly present also. There was also trying to somehow suffer with others. But that's not necessary. Nothing is actually happening. And there have been like situations for this body too that have been threatening lately. Threatening the well-being of this body, basically. like impending situations in the future, having to do with money basically, uh, and also some health related stuff. Although nothing too serious right now, but right now it's nothing. It's just a thought, empty, substanceless thought, light as space, as light as space, as substantial as space. And there are no intense emotions. So previously it could also be called an emotion somehow, that sense of contracted energy or sense of separation. And there's still like I spoke about anxiety. How do you say it in English? Anxiety. Apparently I spoke about anxiety in a previous video that I titled as Anxiety, Fear and PTSD. And there was still like some sense of distress for others. And this is not saying that distress couldn't still appear. It might. It probably will. But right now, it's just so clear, oh my God. Although there is no God that can be pointed out, but also like saying that there is no God, that also doesn't mean anything, so. There's just, sorry, this might sound very glib or entitled or something, but this is not for me, this is not for anyone. In a way, it could be said that this is what we are, but this that is speaking is not a person, and that who is listening is also not a person, or not even listening, but hearing and comprehending via the brain. That's not a person, and it's not a brain either. And did I have something else? I actually didn't have anything else, but it's also very much easier to speak about this that cannot actually be spoken about, but it's easier to speak around this when the energy has somehow released, or the other energy, apparent energy, has somehow washed over. uh, and I don't know what to say anymore, but or maybe I do. Oh yeah, there's no point trying to, or actually it's not about there not being a point or there being a point of being a non-dual police or non-dual guard, trying to maintain like a very strict non-duality position, because that is still somehow memory playing out, like sense of separation playing out as the non-dual language police. And this doesn't really care. This that is called what the non-duality words are supposed to kind of talk around. Maybe this emptiness that is fullness, that is neither, because both are concepts actually, and at the same time reality, so-called reality, is not a concept. So this reality or this emptiness doesn't care about the words, really. Any kinds of words, like same words can appear to be used in different ways, although there's no user, of course, but the other kind of speaking, even if it sounds very non-dual, can subtly somehow reinforce the idea of there being some separate entity. And actually, like, it's the sense of separation of the ego, let's say, or the selfing that has masked itself behind the non-duality talk. And in that case, that's totally wrong. Not wrong, but I mean totally false. Same words, so-called non-duality concepts, can appear to happen without them actually being concepts somehow, when they're just being spoken from this or as this or whatever, without a speaker. I mean, this sloppy language is not correct, but who says that it has to be correct, you know? And I thought I might speak about anxiety more, but nothing is really coming up right now because there's no anxiety present. There's no feeling of, actually, yeah, something was remembered. In extremely stressful situations, there are reports, I don't know how many cases of this, but for example, in war zones, the soldiers, like, I remember one, at least one, I know there are more, but one soldier in the World War One was facing impending death, basically, and there was a lot of noise and bombs going on around him. And when there was like, when it seemed that the death was certain, like there was no freaking way out, there was this letting go or something, surrendering to the death. And this man said that he had never, or they had no such, how to say it, no such peace had ever appeared before. It was peace that transcended everything, and like in the midst of the worst kind of an experience, in terms of, noise, violence, blood, everything. Friends have died. One is going to die soon. Total terror prior to this, probably. And then just snap. Something just snapped and surrendered. And he didn't become insane. The ego just died. That was an ego death. So, and this story is not told to anyone. The one that is hearing this is actually the same one that is speaking this, in some sense, maybe it could be said. And that has to do with love. But yeah, there are many, or I don't know if there are many, but I've heard numerous cases. No, that's not true. I've heard that there are numerous cases, maybe, but I haven't heard about those numerous. Like, I haven't heard those individual stories, just that one. So I don't know if this is a comforting thought for anyone having to deal with ongoing situations or not, but and I also wrote in the description of the previous video that had to do with fear, I wrote in the description field that one can also, if one needs some comforting words or even helpful words regarding stress, fear, anxiety, and reactivity, and how to calm the nervous system. There are people like Gabor Mate and Russell Kennedy, and then these more mystical speakers, although there are no real separate speakers because there actually is no one separate. But anyway, one can also check out Gangaji's talks and J. Krishnamurti's talks and Devachi's talks around fear, maybe around tragedy and those kinds of things. Any, like for example, Devachi speaks about seeming situations and energies and feelings and emotions and stuff like that in the way that any kind of an like a any kind of a trauma that has been in the system, it releases in the way that it comes up again. But there can be new traumas also, but then they release in the way that they come again. And as long as it's resisted, it doesn't release. And the more intense the suffering and the pain is, this is not to say that one should aim for more suffering, of course not, or aim for more pain, of course not. But the more severe the trauma is, and it enables to move through the system, so to speak, the bigger the reality is revealed, and also the bigger and the more beautiful the love is revealed. Love is that is untouched by anything that appears. But I mean, he speaks about these things more eloquently than I can, I think. So maybe check out Devachi if there's the feeling of needing to hear something like those kinds of pointers and reminders, like sympathetic or empathetic words regarding these things. And Gangaji has also helped me immensely. She has basically her constant reminder is to, see what one wants, see where one has looked for what one wants, and then the question, is one willing to stop looking for that which one has wanted to find or to get? And after that, like maybe a question, who am I? Who is this? Who am I really can appear. Also, that's basically self-inquiry, Ramana Maharshi's self-inquiry, but still, these are just words now, being talked to no one and not being talked by anyone as a person or as a separate being, as a separate entity. There is no separate being, no separate self. And somehow this is so clear and kind of easy to speak, like I mentioned already, apparently. When everything just actually vanishes, when the mental landscape, the mental sense of there being a world, the mental 3D map of the surroundings and of other people, of personal history, of personal present, of personal future, all that vanishes when that energy appears. I'm just talking from my own experience, and I know these are, and there is no one that knows that these are the incorrect words, but still, anyway, in sloppy conventional language, I know from my so-called experience. that it is so. There's kind of like a witnessing, but not a separate witnessing. I don't know how to describe it. It's very difficult to put into words, maybe impossible. Anyway, you that don't really exist, I wish you all the best. And I wish for peace and harmony and sanity. But these are also just empty words at this moment. Nothing is actually, because I mean it's and this is not meant to sound nihilistic, although it might sound nihilistic, but it's more like there's nothing wrong. Nothing is actually wrong because nothing exists. But it's not a concept. As a concept, that's nihilism, and it's kind of insane to say that nothing is wrong and nothing is existing. I mean, come on, look around. There are such horrors in the world that it's unbelievable, but right now, what is it? What is it? It's a mental image. What is there actually like right now? There appears to be a body. There appears to be speaking, hearing. There appears to be some other sensory experience, like if the body is sitting down, maybe the sense of the chair against the body. What is there? There's apparent breathing. These are all kinds of anchor points that anchors the attention into the present. It takes the attention away from imagination and anxious and stressful thinking and imagination. What else is here? If the eyes are open, they're seeing. What else is there? Maybe subtle mental images, but those can end when attention returns fully to this present moment, which is not personal, and it's not gonna go away, nor is it not gonna, nor was it ever not present. It's not a presence based on circumstances or surroundings or time. That's not what it means here, or what this term refers to. What else is there? Maybe smelling, maybe not. That's kind of like there's actually only the suchness of things, and suchness is emptiness. Suchness is empty, and it's also full. But what is it full of? I would say awareness and beingness. And I know the term awareness is very misunderstood, and it's used in different contexts differently. But in this case, awareness is not referring to a point in time-space, and it's not referring to a faculty that a person has and uses or anything like that. But there is hearing, seeing. There couldn't be hearing, seeing. These are hearing and seeing. They are, and tasting, smelling, touching, the sensory experiences. They're bodily sensory experiences without a central experiencer, of course, but the sensory experiences could not appear if awareness wasn't primary. Even a dream of a sensory, 5 sensory experience, a dream about life couldn't appear if awareness wasn't already the case, the primary whatever, not even a condition, but just primary to everything, every apparent thing that comes and goes, that is transient, empty. Every apparent thing comes and goes. Every apparent thing is transient. Every apparent thing is empty. But is awareness even empty? I would say no. Is it even full of anything? No. So even the concept of, or the pointer of emptiness doesn't really apply to awareness. And of course, even the concept of awareness doesn't apply to awareness. And this is not like word trickery. It's obvious somehow. It's mind-boggling, and well, but it's not weird. And the emptiness of it all, though. I mean, yeah, the term emptiness does seem to be very befitting. The emptiness is amazing. It's really amazing. I don't know how to describe. It cannot be put into words how amazing it is when the emptiness is revealed. It's so revealing. Well, revealing. Yeah, maybe, I don't know. Relieving, I mean. Such a relief, apparently in time, maybe, for no one. That all the stress and the suffering that seemed to be so real was just a nightmare, just an empty nightmare. And the sense of maybe dread or despair was also just illusions, nothing real. And what gets left is nothing. But this nothing is not horrible at all. Nothing and every apparent thing, every apparent, or not even every apparent thing, maybe any apparent thing. Nothing and any apparent event. But the any apparent event is also nothing. And the any apparent thing is also nothing. No thing, not anything. And nothing. It's just very nice. I don't know if that somebody might have a problem with the word nice, but it really is very, very nice when the emptiness is revealed, or the insubstantiality of everything. My English is not the hottest right now, apparently.